today there's such a violent storm, I'd say almost a tornado in the garden, that's been knocking over all the trash all day, the garbage can, and scattering it all over the garden. So this might be the storm before spring begins, because towards the next few days, the weekend, you really say spring-like temperatures are finally arriving, warm, 20 degrees and so on. Anyway, the topic today is I received a comment from someone who just saw a chicken video with all the animals and so on, and he wrote to me, Alex, all chickens in Hungary have to be registered by the end of April. It's mandatory. I hope you've heard about it. So I'd like to take this opportunity today to make a video about it, because I've had so many people, and this isn't the first time I've heard something like this from me or from other Hungarians from all walks of life and regions of Hungary, report exactly how Germans behave and what you should actually do if you want to make yourself totally unpopular in Hungary within 5 minutes. We'll elaborate on that a bit now. But first, there's another important thing, because many of you don't know that all the regulations in Hungary, or many regulations in Hungary, vary from county to county. This applies, for example, to the annual property tax. There are even municipalities. In my opinion, this is decided at the municipal level. There are municipalities without a property tax, which is due annually, and there are municipalities with an annual property tax. This starts at 10,000 forums per year and goes up to 100 forums per year in the Budapest area. So it's not uncommon, but the municipality decides that. That's why you can't generalize at all. And that also applies to all the regulations. For example, yes, if there are any regulations, I don't know, then you can't generalize. The one for animals and the fact that you have to register them and so on. And this person found some kind of brochure in his mailbox that said you have to register the animals. I don't know, maybe it really was like that in his municipality, that there was maybe some kind of disease outbreak, and that's why they sent it everywhere. Otherwise, Hungary basically works like this. As long as you have freedom, as long as you don't violate the freedom of others, live and let live, and don't interfere in other people's affairs. That's a very, very important point, and perhaps it's very important for you, if you're considering going to Hungary or not, to decide that beforehand. Do you even want that, or do you just want to get involved and talk about legal texts? So for animal husbandry, that means that no matter where I lived, at Lake Balaton or here in eastern Hungary, everyone keeps animals. And there, no matter, it might be written somewhere that I know this from the Budapest area, you're not allowed to keep pigs above a village in the metropolitan area. But in the countryside, that's how it is. Everyone has animals, and no one would think of registering the animals. The person, the German who wrote this to me, might go to the neighbor tomorrow and say, listen, I see you have so many chickens, you have to register them. And then ideally with someone, because they probably don't speak Hungarian, with a German translator, that's really the worst thing you can do. And of course, that applies to all the other areas as well. For example, animal husbandry. All the animal rights activists from Germany come and knock on the neighbor's door and say, if the dog is chained up, they look for some legal text that might actually exist, but nobody cares about it at all. And they say, you're not allowed to chain the dog, like the law paragraph, this and that, it's not allowed. And don't do that. Otherwise, I'll call the police. I've actually heard of cases where they called the police, but of course they laughed their heads off. It's not taken seriously, okay? So, and exactly, then there are all the vegans who come and say, how can you even keep animals? And then they start arguing with the neighbors, like, why you have to keep 5 animals, why not 3 animals, and so on. It's really, really, really bad to do it like that. And you should really mind your own business, be nice and friendly to your neighbors. You're a guest in the country, and not try to impose all the regulations. And many people also ask me what is allowed in the area of this and that, because in Germany you're probably so used to there being a rule for everything, and you want to stick to it. And then you might need that. How many chickens if the law says 5 chickens per household, then you have to have that rule because it puts you at ease. Only in Hungary, as I said, it works completely differently. And the worst thing you can do is interfere in each other's affairs like that. It's none of your business at all. And then, of course, there are cases that really call a lawyer. A popular point, for example, is that rural properties in Hungary are often not surveyed. So you always really arrange things with your neighbor like that. Your property extends up to here. There's a site plan for your property, of course. It roughly says that, but you always did it peacefully with your neighbor, so that the neighbor, for example, said he wanted to use it and you wanted to use it, and that was discussed, and then it wasn't an issue. So, and then some Germans actually come there and start measuring the property, and then immediately either go to a lawyer, which they also have, or go to the neighbor and say, listen, this has been measured. You're using this with a few centimeters. Starting tomorrow, you have to stop doing that. Otherwise, I'll immediately, yes, complain to the municipality, the police, or whatever. So if you organize your life like that, then please don't come to Hungary because you'll be hated, and then you'll really have problems with people, and they won't be solved by the police. I can tell you that. So really, yes, for your understanding, then maybe other countries are actually better suited. Yes, with that in mind, you could also write in and say whether you've heard of similar experiences from other Germans, or whether you've heard of how you resolve conflicts with your neighbors, or whether you get involved in your neighbors' affairs, especially with animal welfare and so on. I'd really be interested in hearing more in the comments. Otherwise, take care. See you soon. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Bye bye.